Hello students, welcome to class 6 Science, chapter 13, Fun with Magnets.
Paheli and Bujo went to a place where a lot of waste materials was piled into huge heaps. Something exciting was happening. A crane was moving towards the heap of junk. The long end of the crane lowered a block over a heap. It then began to move. Guess what? Many pieces of iron junk were sticking to the block as it moved.
They had just read a very interesting book on magnets and knew immediately that there must be a magnet attached to the end of the crane that was picking up iron from the junkyard. You might have seen magnets and have even enjoyed playing with them. Have you seen stickers that remain attached to iron surfaces like door of refrigerators? In some pin holders, the pin seems to be sticking to the holder. In some pencil boxes, the lid fits when it is closed. How magnets were discovered? It is said that there was a shepherd named Magnus who lived in an ancient Greece. He used to take his herd of sheep and goats to a nearby mountains for grazing. He would take a stick with him to control his herd. The stick had a small piece of iron attached to one end. One day he was surprised to find that he had to pull hard to free his stick from a rock on the mountain. It seemed as if the stick was being attracted by the rock. The rock was a natural magnet and it attracted the iron tips of the shepherd's stick. It is said that this is how natural magnets were discovered. Such rocks were given the name magnetite, perhaps after the name of that shepherd. Some people believe that magnetite was first discovered at a place called Magnesia. This is how the story goes. People now have discovered that certain rocks have the property of attracting pieces of iron. They also found that small pieces of these rocks have some special properties. They named these naturally occurring materials magnets. Later on, the process of making magnets from pieces of iron was discovered. These are known as artificial magnets. Nowadays, artificial magnets are prepared in different shapes. For example, bar magnet, horseshoe magnet, or a magnetic needle. Magnetic and non-magnetic materials. Take a few pens or some objects and try playing with a magnet. Do you see any material common in all the objects that were attracted by the magnets? We understand that magnet attracts certain materials, whereas some do not get attracted towards materials. The materials which get attracted towards a magnet are magnetic. Example, iron, nickel and cobalt. There are some materials which are not attracted towards a magnet, are called non-magnetic. For example, aluminium, copper, lead. Now let's do an activity. Place a sheet of paper and sprinkle some iron fillings on the paper. Try placing a bar magnet on top of it. Do you see something suspicious or interesting? The iron fillings only gets attached towards the end of the magnets. Why is that so? As we talk about magnets, there was a rishi in ancient India around 500 BC ago named Sushruta. He used magnets in his instrument to do surgeries and mentioned many of the tools in his book Sushruta Samhita. Try checking it out. Finding directions. Magnets were known to people from ancient times. Many properties of magnets were also known to them. You might have read many interesting stories about magnets. One such story is about an emperor of China named Hong Ti. It is said that he had a chariot with a statue of a lady that would rotate in any direction. It had an extended arm as if it was showing the way. The statue had an interesting property. It would rest in such a position that its extended arm always pointed towards south. By looking at the extended arm of the statue, the emperor was able to locate directions when he went to new places on his chariot. The end of a magnet that points towards north is called a north-seeking end or the north pole of a magnet. The other end that points towards the south is called south-seeking end or the south pole of a magnet. All magnets have two poles, whatever the shape may be. Usually north and south poles are marked on the magnets. The property of the magnet is very useful for us. For centuries, travelers have been making use of this property of magnets to find directions. It is said that in olden days, travelers used to find direction by suspending natural magnets with a thread, which they always carry with them. Later on, a device was developed based on this property of magnets. It is now known as compass. A compass is usually a small box with a glass cover on it. The magnetized needle is pivoted inside a box which can rotate freely. The compass also has a dial with directions marked on it. The compass is kept at a place where we wish to know the direction. Its needles indicate the north-south direction when it comes to rest. Make your own magnet. There are several methods of making magnets. Let us learn the simplest one. Take a rectangular piece of iron. Place it on a table. Now take a bar magnet and place one of its poles on one edge of the bar iron. Now lift it and start rubbing it in a circular motion. Now the bar magnet is being magnetized. Now the iron bar is being magnetized. You can use the same technique on other iron objects. Attraction and repulsion between magnets. As we know, magnets can attract objects. But what if two magnets come closer to each other? The magnetic force, which has opposite ends, attract each other, and the magnets with the same ends start repelling each other. As we speak about magnets, here is an interesting fact. The Konark Sun Temple in Orissa is an amazing piece of art. The temple just not looks beautiful from the outside. It was a well-constructed piece of art back in ancient India. It is said that the sun idol inside the temple used to float like Vishnu's statue floating in Nepal. Just the difference, the Vishnu statue floats in water, but the sun idol was floating on mid-air using magnets. When the Mughals started invading India, they destroyed many things. They destroyed many temples, including this temple too, which was a great loss to Indians. A few cautions. Magnets lose their properties if they are heated, hammered or dropped from some height. Also, magnets become weak if they are not stored properly. To keep them safe, a bar magnet should be kept in pairs with their unlike poles on the same side. They must be separated by a piece of wood, while the two pieces of soft iron should be placed across their ends. For horseshoe magnets, one should keep a piece of iron across the poles. Keep magnets away from cassettes, mobiles, television, music system, compact disc and computer.